quite a delay on the music. Amazing. 15 seconds. Live from Boyer Research's all-white chess set.
Oh, that's
How does that
sad.
work?
That's sad.
How did they figure that out? I don't get how that
know.
game
I'm
works.
sad now, though.
It's an all-new, terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants, joined by analyst whole Matt Moscardi. Wow. You see how I changed the copy in mid-sentence from Wacky Wednesday to Terrific Tuesday? I'm such a pro, it hurts.
No one even noticed.
On today's lead independent director, who also happens to be your BFF, called March 18th, 2025, the Dripping with Sarcasm Good Game.
Oh.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. It's just a bad game, isn't it? It's just not. It's just a not good game.
I still don't know how this game works, but I kind of like how stupid it is. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFlowAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. I wonder if Jamie Dimon would hate us because no one's paying for it. So would he be mad at us, or would he like it that it's free?
But it's $0, so he can't tell people to be ashamed of buying it.
Yeah,
it's
but is it
$0.
But
it's
we're not
fine now.
But we're also not aggressively embracing a capitalist free market. So maybe he'd be mad at us for that too.
I mean,
and he'd praise us. And
we're no Boyer Research with an all-white chess set, but we are closing in on, that there's DEI data in what we do. So he'd love hate us.
Wait, but he said bring it on to DEI, didn't he?
And I have a picture of him on my wall kneeling in front of the Mount Kisco JP Morgan branch. Just,
I think that's where one of his mansions is, right? Mount Kisco.
It's very confusing. It's very well. Let's get to that because we're front running our own show.
Jumping the gun. Come on.
All right,
There we go. I heard that. I hear this music.
We're ready to go.
All right, here's the Dripping with Sarcasm Good Game, where I announce things that are great. Maybe I'm being sarcastic, and Matt kind of arbitrarily tells me what he runs them through his sarcastic meter, and none of the scoring matters. But I also kind of get a giggle out of it because I like hearing.
This is literally your worst game.
I like hearing how Matt articulates his sarcasm. Here's the first good news, maybe. Oh, actually, Matt. We might be aligned on this one because we actually have been complaining about this duopoly for years. And we are ready and willing and able to take on any former clients of the duopoly if they come our way. We will figure it out with you. We already have the data. We'll get it all ready for you. We got the APIs. We got we got all the machines.
Do you even know what an API is?
No. Here's the headline. Incompetent. Jamie Dimon unloads on proxy advisor ISS. It's more than that, though. That headline's a bit misleading. So here's the main takeaway. The JP Morgan CEO described ISS and Glass Lewis both as incompetent in an interview just last week with Semaphore on stage at BlackRock's retirement summit. What is that? What is BlackRock's retirement summit?
It's for everybody who should retire.
Yeah, like Jamie Dimon.
Like Jamie Dimon.
So I'll give you a few choice quotes. Jamie said that ISS and Glass Lewis should be, quote, gone and dead and done with.
Wow.
I like that one. Tough talk.
Wow.
He also said, anyone who gives them money, shame on you. I like that one too. And then lastly, he said that ISS and Glass Lewis have been driving companies out of the public market. That one's debatable. Wow. So we can get to that, or where do you want to start on this one?
Look, first things first.
Yeah.
Really upset at the headline writers. Jamie Dimon unloads? No, Jamie Dimon says everything's Jamie Dimon says.
Right.
You screwed up the headline. Jamie Dimon says is the headline because that's all that the headlines are anymore. Jamie Dimon says.
Here's why I do appreciate the headline, because if you read it, it's clear that the word incompetent is a quote that Jamie's saying. But if you read it out loud and you don't see it and you read it quickly, incompetent could be a modifier for Jamie Dimon. So it could be incompetent Jamie Dimon unloads on proxy. Yeah,
wow.
so I like that
well
one,
played. Well played. Look, we're in the worst possible position. The ISS and Glass Lewis don't do any jobs, right?
This is like BlackRock again with us.
We spent years making fun of BlackRock for like pretend wokeness, pretend sustainability.
We spent years railing against the ESG acronym and the ESG industry.
We wanted to kill the acronym. We said it was all a joke. Like they're selling you, like basically the acronym has been misused so much that just you got to kill it. It's just data. It's badly organized. Whole thing. Now we've spent like the last 2 years, literally. ISS, I think, won our Assholiest of the Week last Friday, like on Friday.
Yeah, not the first time, but you're right, just last Friday. Yeah, I don't forget why.
Because they a year ago, Nelson Peltz is an activist at Disney. They say withhold. ISS says withhold from Maria Lagomasino because she doesn't belong there. She's longest tenured. She's the reason for all the succession problems. She's a huge problem. And then this year, for like a week ago, they came out and said, yeah, vote for her because we don't care anymore because there's no Nelson Peltz.
Well, let's not forget that they bailed on DEI because of a presidential election. That's why they bailed. Yeah, not because of any policy, not because of any long-term study, but just because there's a new president.
Did they do it in a falsetto?
They did, yeah.
So now we are in a position where Jamie Dimon, where we agree effectively that ISS and Glass Lewis are not great.
Yeah, but I don't know about gone and dead and shame on you if you give them the money because they can, just work with us. Come to us.
But now here's the context. Yeah. The context is a guy who said he hasn't had a boss in over 20 years.
Yes.
He said that like 6 months ago.
Well, his board is not his boss.
Without irony. He didn't say that as a joke.
Well, he is the chair of his own board. He's the chair and the CEO, Matt.
He basically is saying the reason why the ISS exists in the first place is because 1 million years ago, a governance revolution happened that said, you know what? CEOs shouldn't be chairs, and a board member should attend their meetings at least 75% of the time. And you know what? Like, there's all these basic governance structures that have been ignored for years, and they matter.
ISS started by Bob Monks, one of the owners of the first company I worked at when I started in this field, the Corporate Library up in Portland, Maine.
And now you have basically small-time royalty in Jamie Dimon, who's saying, I haven't had a boss in 20 years, saying that ISS should be dead.
Here's the weird thing. Hell yeah, go ahead. You got anything more to say? Can I cut you off?
Cut me off, because otherwise
Here's where I'm confused, Matt and Jamie. I'm going to speak to both of you at once. So what you're angry with is policies like voting against nomination committee chairs if there are fewer than 3 women on the board, which have resulted, Matt, in a vote against of about 8%. I mean, they're absolutely toothless. There's no power, there's no punch behind any of these policies. They've done nothing. They've contributed no changes, none.
There's like the theory that is like governance should be improved. You and I can agree to that theory, and in that theoretical universe, we can agree that ISS and Glass Lewis have not done a good job of improving governance. There's the reality of Jamie Dimon, who basically is a king, says he has no boss, despite the fact that he's supposed to have a boss in the board that investors are supposed to elect, who are supposed to be his boss. That, by definition, they're his boss. Jamie Dimon is upset with ISS and Glass Lewis for effectively changing proxy voting such that you no longer get 99% of the vote. You might get 97% of the vote because you're the nom chair and there's not enough women on the board.
Binding. Even the director votes
Nothing
are really
is
not
binding. No one loses. The actual numbers are 0.2% of directors are voted off. 0.2%. Like so that's a 0.2.
What is this? Is this Jamie's version of political theater? Is he doing this to appease Trump? Like, what is he doing here? I don't understand. Why the sudden outlash? What's happening?
So ISS and Glass Lewis have policies that were like, you know what, you should maybe have like a person of color on your board, or wouldn't it be nice if 50% of the population are women? Women tend to be more educated than men. Can we add a woman to the board? That's the policies he's upset with, and never actually happened. Never, they didn't happen.
You can opt out. You don't have to follow the ISS policy. Actually, both ISS and Glass Lewis have several voting policies that you can choose from, or you
Well,
can
that's the
even
grand
you can
irony.
even give them what you want. You can tell them what you want to do, and they'll
He
help you with
complains
that.
about cookie cutter policies.
Yeah,
It's
I'm confused by
There's a
this
menu
one.
of 70 options that you can choose.
Yeah.
Look, and the worst part is, I think ISS and Glass Lewis are pointless. Also, they like
Yeah, let us
if you're
help
going
you. We can
if
help
you're
you.
going to have proxy advisors, shouldn't they use some data to give advice of some kind?
Actually, freeflowanalytics.com has actual data on directors.
Correct.
Not
That's why
beyond age
yeah.
and beard length. Actually, we don't
Although
have beard
I
length.
really
Yeah.
wish we had beard length. That
Yeah.
would be awesome.
ISS does have the corner of the market on beard length.
So now I'm like sitting here arguing that the proxy advisors are ineffective, should exist. Really, what the problem is
They can exist, but people
every
should use us
single
instead. Yeah.
every single CEO hates their investors. They don't want anyone to vote on anything. They don't want to be told what to do.
I'm glad you mentioned this, Matt, because
ISS and Glass Lewis are just a middle agent, so investors can like have plausible deniability if they do something. They just hate having adults in the room. That's all we're doing.
Here's the path we're on. First, there was all the big data that started to use all these horrible dual class shares, right, to control the company and to box out public shareholders, right? So, like for instance, Mark Zuckerberg, he controls the vote. Public shareholders are not allowed to say anything about anything. And then what I call the beginning of the end was Snap. So there they decided that, yes, you can buy into our IPO, but actually you're going to have no voting rights. So really they were just being more honest, right? They were saying, like, at Facebook, you can pretend to have voting rights, but here we're just not even playing that game. So I think I was talking to Jamie Dimon's son-in-law, Joey Romeo, this morning.
Oh, really?
Joey and I agreed on is what Jamie's really doing here is he's starting. He wants to eradicate just voting at all, annual meetings with shareholders voting. I think he just wants the CEO and chair. I think he wants to add a title to that: CEO, chair, and head of shareholder. Chief of shareholders,
chief shareholder
so
officer.
that Jamie himself is just going to decide all of the ballot measures. We don't need stinking shareholders making voting decisions.
I love that this is like arguments against government, right? Like I love that they really want investors to give them the money. The money part is awesome. Also,
money is good, yes.
They really want the market to price their stock up and up and up because that means their pay
only
goes up
only
and up
positive
and up.
opinions.
Just
Sorry,
keep
only
going
favorable
up.
opinions.
Like,
Yes.
I love it. I love
Yes.
that part of this. Oh, but the thing that I don't like so much is
your voice. Your screechy,
you gave me the money.
annoying,
I
shrill
really
voice.
don't like anything else about
Yes,
you.
that's-
I just want you to give me the money and keep saying I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't want you to ask any follow-up questions. It's like that scene in The Simpsons where he goes to the library and he said, "Can I have a do you have the phone book for a Hokkaido, Japan?" And they say, "Sure." And then he says, "Can I borrow the phone?" And they say, "Yes." Is it a local call? And he stops and goes, "Yes," and then dials for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's exactly like just ask no follow-up questions. Just please just let
Well,
it happen.
What this article left out is that he also said that he's working on a policy that only investors who own at least 6 bathrooms in their home will be allowed to vote at annual meetings.
Yeah,
So
when you couple this with Delaware
fair. I think that's fair,
changing
actually.
their rules. So Delaware, like Mike Levin and Ann Lipton did a long podcast on the Shareholder Primacy podcast about Delaware and their changes in the statutes and how basically they're just watering down shareholder rights. How far are we from shareholders having no rights? Are we? We're getting close, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's where we're headed. Yeah.
So if that's where we're heading this year, seriously, anybody who listens to the show, and I know there's 2 of you, right? Like, both of you.
Well, I like both of them.
I
like
mean,
one of them more than the other. You know that.
we all know which.
Yeah.
If you listen to this show,
Yeah.
you seriously, this is the only year you have to vote potentially. By next year, these votes might not matter at all. Delaware's changing the rules. Everyone's moving to Texas because they want less shareholder rights. You're in dual class land where like you have little kings like Jamie Dimon, widely held companies. The reason why they are effectively kings is because the shares are so widely held that no coalition can form. In fact, you have Republicans, when coalitions form, suing the coalitions, calling it collusion.
Yeah.
This is the only
I was gonna
opportunity
say-
you have to vote.
I would say too, pull back a little bit more. And what you have is an environment where last year the CEO of Exxon, Darren Woods, is suing. He's suing his own shareholders for putting a shareholder proposal he doesn't like on the slate. And look at Apple's AGM this year. They're all anti-ESG ballots now, proposals now. That we've fundamentally flushed out pro-governance, pro-environment, pro-social proposals. Like we're shifting away, we're shifting out, we're shifting. And now it's just political theater nonsense.
I don't even want to think of it as pro-environmental or pro-social. I want to think of it as those are costs, right? When you're underwater, environment becomes a cost. When your people all quit because, like you just said, DEI doesn't matter and you hate brown people, like that becomes a cost. Like it's reduced productivity. It's a cost. Here's what I want to offer.
Yeah.
If you listen to the show and you send the show around, and anybody who calls on the back of this show sends us an email saying, you know what, you've got a whole bunch of data. We can vote on the data. This year we can vote on the data. Anybody who comes at me, you got an ISS contract, we will price what we do at 20% of your ISS contract, period. We'll give you a data dump so that you can actually vote this year totally differently.
Yeah,
I want to see it happen because I don't think anyone's going to get to do this anymore. I'm really actually concerned.
Before we move on, and before you give me a score for this this great but ridiculous new development in our world, I want to address Jamie's statement that ISS is driving companies out of the public market. Again, we are in an age now where we get to just say stuff. Right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Well,
wrong button.
But I just want to briefly talk about this. If it gets too nerdy, we can move on quickly. First of all, the actual decline in public companies started around 1996. That's when you start to see an official dip in the listed companies. So I don't know if this has anything to do with ISS and Glass Lewis. The other, maybe who we could be blaming, who Jamie could be blaming, is maybe even the SEC itself, because. Don't forget that SOX, the Sarbanes-Oxley securities laws, that started in 2003, those also have contributed to a dip. So maybe we could even blame Enron. Maybe it's Enron's fault.
Yeah,
but beyond that, I do want to point out this paper that I read this morning. This is out of the Tuck Business School from Dartmouth. Is that they actually have something called, they looked at merger adjusted listed dynamics. That's a horrible mouthful of nerdiness. The reality is, according to them, is that this number is not declining because of ISS and Glass Lewis. The number is declining because of the environment of mergers and acquisitions that we have been in since the year 2000. That's the only reason why you see companies disappearing and going offline. That's it, Jamie. But go ahead and just say stuff, Jamie.
Just say something. Just say it.
I know every headline writer loves Jamie Dimon says, but come on, Jamie. You're the CEO of JP Morgan. You got to have some facts.
Jamie, next time you get on stage, just say like you're still backtracking from your telling people to shut the fuck up about returning to the office, right? Like you basically insulted
women, just the people in the middle, the women, yeah.
The people who
have no power, yeah.
But look, the things that you're complaining about is, A, you don't like somebody saying something about you at all, right? Like you don't want them to say anything unless it's you're amazing, like that.
Yeah, so you don't have a boss.
So you want everybody else to. What you really want, you're not just talking to your employees about coming back to the office. You're telling everyone on earth to shut the fuck up and let you be master of the universe. That's part of what's going on here.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, this guy actually literally said. I know you already put it out. He said he has had no boss for the last.
He said he had no boss.
No boss.
Right? Like that's what Skeletor says in He-Man, right? Like, the other thing is all of these regulations and things you don't like. Do you know why where they came from for the most part?
I'd like to know why. Why? Yeah, where?
So in 2001, Enron collapsed. The reason why we have a lot of this stuff is because there was so much fraud and corruption, like at boards and governance. There was no checks and balances.
They were full of Joey Romeos, yeah.
Everyone there was like, no.
Kimball Musk and Joey Romeo, yeah.
No CEO had a boss in 2001. Sort of like Jamie Dimon now, okay?
Yeah.
And then in 2008, we have a financial crisis, which if lest I remind you, congratulations on surviving it. Simultaneously, you were also involved in it. Like, so you made a lot of money doing the things, right?
Oh, yeah.
You may have survived it, and everyone heralds the fact that you survived the thing that you helped create that sunk the economy for most people. There are companies and people that have not rebounded since 2008. Like,
Yeah. Well,
that's
Matt,
just.
yeah, you're referencing a even more disturbing trend. Is it why when you get to a billionaire level of wealth is it when you start complaining about the system? Why are you then angry about everything? If you're Trump, Musk, you're Jeff Bezos, you're Jamie Dimon, why are you so upset about all the structures in place?
And just so we're clear, if we want to make it personal, Jamie, was it not J.P. Morgan who had the London whale? One guy in London who basically had a massive transaction that almost sunk like an entire portion of JP Morgan's business. They had such lax internal controls that led to new regulations from the SEC about how you communicate with one another. Regulations that have cost these companies millions of dollars. It was around the same time as LIBOR manipulation, when y'all were manipulating interest rates that we pay because it was in your benefit. So now you're really upset that ISS and Glass Lewis took your nominating chair from 98% down to 96% because you don't have a brown person on your board. That's what we're arguing over?
That's the part of this that is the most frustrating. Matt, we've talked about this for way too long. What's your score? Come on,
I
give me a
love
score.
this. I love it. It's a 10. It's an ironic 10.
I mean, it really is. I mean, Jamie has given us this one, and I Don't Have a Boss are two of the for any true governance nerds. Like, Jamie is delivering. Let's just say.
I know. It's like they should just put a webcam on him and let him say stuff like all day long.
Yeah.
I think it would be great.
All right, well, it goes
Let's
all
move
downhill.
faster
It
now.
goes all downhill from here. We can go quickly. Elon Musk says Larry Ellison and Jeff Bezos are among the smartest people he's ever met.
Oh no! First of all, that's such a dig at Bill Gates.
I think so. So you're already going to who he's not. He was not citing as.
I mean, such a snub, isn't it?
Yeah.
And clearly, like, he worked with Peter Thiel, who then they get along as far as
had
the
kind of a falling out, didn't they?
Anecdotes go.
Yeah.
So doesn't like him. Not listed there. Donald Trump. His current wife, Donald Trump,
or Zuckerberg, or
no,
he doesn't like Zuckerberg. You wanted to fight Zuckerberg.
They wanted to fake fight, right? Like,
fake fight. Okay,
because he said, like, yeah, let's fight. But look, this is a 10 because I love that the middle school boys all just kind of like Larry Ellison's buying like all of Hawaii. Jeff Bezos is like, he had his midlife crisis, traded his wife who got him there in for like a weather woman, and he got buff all of a sudden. Elon Musk is basically saying, like, these are my middle school heroes as a middle school boy.
And here's why I chose this headline, and I forgot to mention it in our last article. I did it because Jamie Dimon has referred to Elon Musk as our modern day Einstein. Einstein. This is his comparison. Elon Musk is Einstein to Jamie. It's insulting to everything ever.
I like that.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of sadly you're comparing him to a Jewish man who fled Europe because of a lot of anti-Semitism.
And created the theory of relativity.
Yeah.
Was that in hour 17 of the Jamie Dimon Says webcam or what?
Yeah.
When
Meanwhile,
was that?
there are headlines that they've stopped manufacturing Cybertrucks at Tesla because the sides are falling off. That's just one of the headlines this week of all the crap that goes badly at Tesla.
Also, just one of the things falling off the Cybertruck. That's just one of the
Matt. The sides. All right, next headline.
That thing is supposed to be bulletproof.
The new Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. The headline is Carney eliminates Canada's consumer carbon tax.
What?
So he's a member of the Liberal Party. This elimination really is becoming because the Conservative Party has been complaining about the carbon tax. And Carney said that it's become too divisive. So I just wanted to to throw around some love that even the Canadians are now bowing into like anti-ESG pressure.
Where do
This
you
is good,
go
right?
if you are pro accountability,
pro
right? Like
anything.
if you are pro, like, you know what, like, you know, I want a bunch of plastic shit from China. I should have to pay the externality of getting that plastic shit from China, right? Like, if you
question.
are pro that, like
Yeah.
personal responsibility, personal accountability from government, accountability from corporations. Where do you go anymore? Where do I live?
Iceland? But then you're close to Greenland, and that's going to become a war zone soon. So
No,
maybe
that's
that'll be
true.
dangerous.
Well, Iceland does have volcanoes that
That's
powers
true.
like
I don't
the
like the
like.
idea-
I don't
the
think they
idea of
care
that.
about.
They
like,
do erupt too. Those volcanoes.
I'm giving this one a 0 because there's no irony here. This is just sad. This is just sad.
All right.
I don't know
okay,
how
how
to
about
score this game. I don't know how to
I know,
score
it's
it.
difficult. How about this for a big dripping with sarcasm, good game headline? FanDuel. You know FanDuel, right?
Yeah. It's every
betting.
commercial on a podcast.
App
yeah.
betting, like Las Vegas on your phone. FanDuel launches a streaming show about the dangers of gambling.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Finally.
Really? Why is this allowed? How is this
Finally.
possible? Where's ISS to stop this madness?
No.
Come on, Jamie. Maybe you can help with this. This is
If
just
ISS
madness.
said anything, it would just
This is
mean
madness.
that like the amount of gambling on the platform went from 99% to 98.99%.
Did you know FanDuel is 18% of FanDuel is owned by the Fox Corporation? Did you know that? Speaking of Elon Musk's buddies, James Murdoch, he's one of the board members.
I
of
can't wait
Tesla.
until there's
Yeah.
full integration though. Like why FanDuel isn't in my Cybertruck while I'm on my way to Mars? Like isn't the whole direction of the sort of like manflakosphere like
Well,
converging on
Okay.
like a full streaming integrated dunk on trans people, like go to Mars billionaire universe? Like isn't that a thing?
Well, yes. And according to our next headline, it is becoming more of a thing. I mean, I want to know.
This is
like,
a 10. This is
Yeah,
a 10.
okay, 10. Okay, and here's the next headline, and then I'll ask you a question. The next headline is really in the same vein. Robinhood is launching a prediction markets hub, which basically allows traders to bet on specific outcomes like predicting sports, entertainment to politics, the economy, election, just basically everything. Matt, when am I going to be able to bet on whether my daughter finishes her broccoli at dinner?
Oh no.
I want to bet on everything. I want to go bankrupt just in the most mundane ways. I'm ready. I'm ready to just transfer my wealth over to companies like Robinhood, where two co-founders, Vladimir Tenev and Baiju Bot, control about 70% of the voting rights. I just want to push my wealth over to them. Because I don't want to have any say over what goes on there. I just want to give them my money.
How do we do that? Like, what would be the most mundane thing that would make me happy to go bankrupt having bet on? I
actually have a question for you. I was actually looking at the proxy statement at Robinhood, and here's what I wonder. Okay, first I'm going to give you a little bit of background. So, two co-founders at Robinhood, Vladimir Tenev, I think he's the CEO. Baiju Bot, he's no longer the chief creative officer. I don't know what he does. He just sits there and owns things.
I think I know what he's doing.
So they own 2/3 of the voting power, and not because they own 2/3 of the shares. They own 2/3 of the voting power because of a ridiculous dual class share system that penalizes people not named Vladimir and Baiju. But here's what I learned. Vladimir's personal security services paid by shareholders is about $1.5 million last year. Baiju's also paid by shareholders is about $700,000. So based on that,
he's got to be sad.
Based on that, who is more likely to be kicked in the balls first? Is it the guy that people hate more and needs more security, Vladimir, or the guy that people hate less and needs less security? So what do you predict? Who's going to get kicked in the balls?
Closer to him,
right?
Oh, really good
but you
question.
hate him less. You hate him. So, what do you think?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, all right.
I think that's in hour 19 of Jamie Dimon Says. He picks who's going to get kicked in the balls
What's
first.
your score on this one? Robin is basically letting you bet on anything, but we're getting
this
close
one's
to
a
betting on
5
anything.
because this one would be only this one. They actually need a streaming show about the prediction markets hub dangers. That's in order to push this
while
to
the CEO gets kicked in the balls by his own security team.
Correct.
Next headline: AI that can match match humans at any task will be here in 5 to 10 years, according to Google DeepMind CEO, and a companion headline. So maybe we're gonna get there even faster, or maybe they're cheating. Human intelligence sharply declining. That's the other headline.
Wait. How do they measure that second thing?
Yeah, so I mean, doesn't that make it easier for AI to catch up to
It is a
humans if we're all
cheat.
getting dumber?
It's like when the TI-82 when we were in high school, how they like hacked it and figured out how to program all the answers to the test on on the TI-82. That is a little bit of a cheat.
I mean, all I know is I read headlines like this and I wonder, like, why are we the only company that is worried about the people that control companies that are developing AI that are going to be smarter than us soon, and that we're all getting dumb? Why are we the only ones who are worried about that and creating data to help people vote these directors out if you don't? Why are we the only ones?
I got a question actually.
Yeah.
If AI becomes smarter than humans in the next 5 to 10 years and looks around and realizes that humans are being run by the manflakosphere, right? Like the bunch of like teenage boys.
Yeah, Telian teenagers.
Wouldn't AI be like, that is not efficient? You should not be run by teenage boys, right?
Yeah.
So maybe AI is our savior.
Oh, so you're saying that AI will be the new ISS? Is that what you're saying? And they'll make better. They'll recommend that we get rid of Telian teenagers from boards. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
What's your headline on that, Gwen?
I'm giving human intelligence sharply declining a 10 for sure.
Why? Because it makes you seem smarter?
No, I think I'm part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give AI that can match humans at any task a 0.
Oh.
I think they're cheating. I think they're cheating.
Here's just a bizarre story out of Fortune. Only we would care about this story.
Don't you tell me what I care about.
Board burnout is a major risk to all companies. Here's how they can protect their top directors. This is a strange one. Here they have 3 ways to protect directors. Yeah, you ready, or do you want to say something?
First, I want to say, are they measuring top directors?
I don't know what they're doing here, and I don't know
the
how
directors
you measure.
Who scored a 7.
I don't know how you measure any of this. I mean, you're talking about what's the average director making now? Like $300,000 for a few meetings.
So we did the math. They make on average, like taking into account the amount of time that, by all accounts, and there's no big study on this, but by all accounts and all anecdotes that we could find, they make the same amount as the C-suite makes on an hourly basis.
Yeah.
So what do we? And then they sit on 3 boards. So they're making 3 C-suite salaries. Like
so. Here are the 3 things. Here are the 3 things covered in this article. First, they can take control of their time. So they're saying that boards should evaluate how they use their meeting time.
Oh yeah.
Right. And they also said that directors are craving more time without company management present. That makes
I
sense,
agree with that. That's good. Yeah.
But again, like they're not.
What do you do when the CEO is the chair?
Which is every company.
Which is every company.
Yeah. So I don't know about this one. The directors should evaluate how they use their meeting time. So what does that mean exactly? Like what? So they should. I don't know how this. Why does that contribute to burnout? Are they just showing up for a 2-hour meeting? I don't really understand this one.
I think what they're actually saying. I'm going to read between the lines of that suggestion.
Go ahead.
Which is when directors, because this is not a return to office situation. Directors are ostensibly in the same room with each other now.
Occasionally
throughout
the year.
They're spending more of the time when they have a meeting from 2 to 5 p.m. or whatever, right? They spend.
I can smell the burnout. Yeah, go ahead.
Of the 3 hours, they spend 2 hours and 45 minutes talking about Joe's golf game.
Oh, okay.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, actually, they cover that in the 3rd section, but go ahead. Yeah.
I think they're just spending all of the meeting time on frivolous, nonsensical conversation about what movie they saw, their favorite Starbucks drink.
Believe it or not, and I'll get to that one right now. That's one of the remedies for preventing burnout. So the third tactic is here for the directors to stay human, right? And they say that many people who sit on several boards at once could be facing pressures as directors and in their personal lives. So they're suggesting that you check in with your fellow directors to see how they're doing emotionally.
No, but that conflicts with taking control of your time.
Yeah.
How do we?
I just like that your own choice to sit on 4 different boards that pay you $300,000 a pop to show up a few times a year is making you feel burnt out.
Also, you need like a check-in, right?
Yeah, you need to check in. And the second thing they suggest is that you should zoom out. They suggest that a board's onboarding process should include a high-level briefing on the company's position relative to competitors in the field. I mean, you think you want to know like what your company does and who their competitors are? Like I'm so confused by this article. I don't understand.
So
maybe
actually,
this is why they're mad at ISS. Is it because of stuff like this?
No, you would be really burned out if every meeting you went to, you didn't understand what anyone was talking about because you had no idea what the company did and who the competitors were.
But then when you realize that shareholders will never vote you out, and in fact, there is no mechanism in the marketplace other than free flow analytics that measures performance, that no one's going to be paying attention to you anyway, why would you feel burnt out? What are you worried about?
Like, look, I know in fact, I acutely am aware that board members are people. I've met some.
Sure,
and
go ahead.
We map the fact that they're connected to each other in all sorts of ways. I'm sure they have the same pressures that we all have. You know, like a bricklayer who has to go to his job in order to make money to feed his family.
To afford the Band-Aids that he's crushing his knuckles with those bricks,
just barely making ends meet, potentially. You know, like there's no middle class. So I get it. We're all a bunch of snowflakes. You all make so much fucking money. The reports are that Tesla's board, their board sold over $100 million of stock in the last 2 months.
Oh, man, that's the next. You're reading my mind today. That is my very next headline. But go ahead.
It's unbelievable.
So, so what do you think? Give me a score on
this
incredible
is
article.
100 from sarcasm.
Right? I am.
You nailed it today.
It's almost like I made this one up. I used to do a Onion ESG column for LinkedIn. It's almost like I wrote this story. I just don't. I don't understand. I don't know. I think you got to go.
The problem is, if you haven't read Damien's newsletter Onion pieces, they were not only fabulous, but now they're not satire, right? Now that everything's coming true. Like,
and now they mentioned that one of the things that our data does that is so important is that we measure the influence of board members on boards, and what we're doing is we're identifying a very clear pattern in the United States, which is that the influence is so lopsided to 2 or 3 directors that 2 or 3 directors generally control about up to like 70% of board power.
Yeah, like most of the
power. So that
you
have 6 or 7 people who do nothing. They're not necessary. They have no voice because you're sitting opposite Jamie Dimon. This is not like in Europe where we see boards that are really incredibly balanced. Like there's an incredible balance of power on European boards, but not here in America. So I don't know why they're so burnt out, Matt. But okay, let's move on.
It's exhausting having to go to the meetings.
So you referenced this next one. Let's get right to it. Here's the headline. As Tesla tanks, Musk's hand-picked board chair is doing just fine.
Now, finally.
So they're referring to Robin Denholm and the fact that she has already cashed out more than $500 million of stock. And I like this quote from Nell Minow. She says, very simply, she's just paid too much. That's the quote. I mean, look, Nell is better at this than we are because we've already spent a half hour talking about this stuff, and she just gets right to the heart of the issue. But yeah, but this is good for Robin because right? The pressure's off to provide oversight because why would you want to get rid of the cash cow that is your meme stock boss, right? Who cares? Who cares if the company's tanking and people are setting fire to headquarters? And
it's really hard for me. Like investors keep voting these people in. Like I don't. At some point, investors say like, okay,
investors like fires. They like fire. They like marshmallows.
They love when there's widespread arson against a particular product,
and I guess they
CEO
like
who doesn't show up to his job.
They like Nazi saluting CEOs. They like CEOs that fire half of the government workforce. They like all that stuff.
Everyone's a big fan of a board who says yes to whatever the CEO says, so they can make $500 million themselves. Like.
It does. I do question the SEC and all the listing exchange. I forget which listing exchange Tesla's on. Is that, whether it's Nasdaq or New York Stock Exchange?
Does it matter?
How on earth are you letting Tesla call her independent? How do you let them get away with that? How does someone who's made $500 million, actually I think it's up to like 600 and something $million. How is she independent from the company? How?
In the way that I'm independent from you right now.
Okay, all right.
this one's a 5. I don't.
All right, but I do want to add this. There's another headline I saw just today, and by the way, all these headlines are just from the past 2 days. Just so everyone knows.
We're not even done.
Yeah, this is the world around you when you're not paying attention. But there is a follow-up headline, that I have a question for you. It is, man tries to set Tesla chargers on fire, accidentally sets himself on fire as well.
No, I don't like
but
that.
But is that Elon Musk they're talking about? Is he the one trying to set Tesla on fire? Because he's doing a very good job of it. You see that
No,
joke there?
I don't think that is. I think that's the arsonist.
Okay, all right. Trying a little Elon Musk humor there. We only have 2 more headlines for all of you hating this very sarcastic good game. This is a nice wah moment here. This headline: CEOs say they feel stuck as they wait for the dust to settle from Trump's on again, off again tariffs. So yeah, I mean, you got to feel for these CEOs, right? I mean, the backdrop to this is that all CEOs' pay is going up about 30%. It seems this proxy season. Bonuses are through the roof this year. So,
I know.
but they're feeling stuck.
It's
so
hard.
It's hard operating under Trump. And Matt, what a surprise that Trump is so confusing to understand.
We never saw this coming. We
you
thought
did not
we just
see it coming. Yeah,
we thought we just kiss his ass and then it would all be fine.
And by the way, like, what kind of a CEO it doesn't anticipate changes in like government and elections, and like your company is not based on who the senator is from Nebraska. It's a little bit more like long term.
That's not the CEO's job. That's the board's job, and they're burnt out from talking to each other and checking in.
And since the CEO is also the chair, anyway, the CEO is actually setting the agenda of the board meeting. So what does it really matter what you think?
This doesn't feel sarcastic to me. This feels like anger-inducing wah time.
I just don't know how. I don't know how we're letting CEOs get away with
Honestly,
wah time.
when did everybody do you remember when they used to call liberals snowflakes?
Yeah.
When did everybody in a position of power turn into a victim?
If you hit $1 billion of wealth, then you complain about the system and all the structures holding you back. If you get raises now making $30 million a year, you complain that the operating environment is tricky.
I mean, I know it's not in the headlines right now that Amazon workers are still peeing in bottles because they don't get breaks, right?
I'm finding my job tricky, Matt. It's tricky.
CEOs feel stuck and boards feel burnt out, and Elon Musk's upset with all these regulations.
Yeah.
Jamie Dimon says ISS is bad. I wish they were dead. What are you fucking whining about? You guys are the most powerful people. You're a bunch of white men are the most powerful people on Earth.
Yeah.
And they're all complaining. They're all complaining about something.
What's your score on this one? Sarcasm
this one's
meter.
a 2. This one's a 2. I don't know why.
I don't know
why
either. And finally, let's just end on the absurd for the sarcastic good game for March 18th, 2025. I don't know why. I just like this one. Here's the actual headline. Bear with me. It's long. This is from Yahoo Finance. The board of directors of Harvia have decided on a new performance period for the long-term performance share plan for the key employees. Okay? That's the whole headline. It's not a very witty one. It's not very clever, but they've decided on a new performance period. Okay, that's great, right?
Okay.
And here's the text of the story. The board of directors of Harvia has decided on March 10th, 2025, to continue the long-term performance share plan for the management team and other key employees for the performance period 2025 to 2027.
Wait. The decision was to do the same thing?
Yeah, they're just continuing. It's the same length. It's the same. Yeah, they're just doing it again. This is the headline. I don't know. I like this one. I don't know.
I really like that somebody had a press release.
They decided to continue it.
That's not from an 8K. Like that you didn't meaning you didn't link that to some 8K that you saw. That was
but
just
it comes from an 8K because usually you do announce these things.
It comes from an 8K.
Yeah.
But the question I have is, who in the chain was like, this is definitely press release worthy? Like we need to actually put this on platform so people know that we're going to keep things the same. Like we just want to make sure everyone knows.
Maybe this is part of Elon Musk's new initiative to ask workers to check in every week to say what they're doing. I don't know. Like, maybe
I
the
like
board
that.
is like, hey, we decided on something. We're gonna keep doing the old thing. Like
the decision we made is no decision at all.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm
What do you
giving this
score on
an
this one?
8. I'm giving this an 8.
That's about right. That's right.
That one's right. The other one's questionable.
Wrong. In other words, do you have anything else to add, or can we get out?
Oh my God! I think we added enough things.
Yeah. Well, Jamie's fault.
Jamie Dimon says the show needs to end.
Slowed us down.
Jamie Dimon saying. What did I score? What was my final? Did you count my 100? That's going to bring up the score.
If you keep talking, I can. Oh yeah, that really throws off the curve.
That throws it off. I think I think my average is going to be like a 40.
Yeah, I think it's about
out of 10.
26.
So,
yeah.
That was a good game. Sarcastic edition. That's Hazelnut Rallis. I'm your analyst, Matt Muscardi. We are free float. That was the most pointless game, but you want to know what's not pointless?
ISS clients, Glass Lewis clients, come to us.
I'm going to say it again. If you are an ISS or Glass Lewis client, you heard this show, you reference that you heard this show, you come to us, you want a full data dump so you can vote differently. We will give you at 20% of the cost of whatever Glass Lewis or ISS, whichever one's cheaper.
You also have analysts that you can actually pick up the phone and call too, and we'll talk to you. And by the way, we're not just joking here. Matt, you're already in talks with at least one potential client or client
I got like
that is actually about to switch over, talking about switching over because of all these reasons. So I'm not just making this up. I'm not
a half dozen massive investors,
these are big,
pension
these are
funds,
important people,
who have said specifically we are replacing ISS.
We're here for you
because we want data.
Yeah.
So
we
come
have
to
data,
us,
we have thoughts, we can do it all.
We're gonna have a doubleheader on Friday. Until then, goodbye.
That was exhausting. Jamie gives us some good bullshit.
I need like a 6-hour nap. I like yelled for an hour.
Yeah, that was yelly. All right, later on.
Bye.